Hello, folks. Welcome, Troy. Uh, let's see here. Hey, I keep forgetting, guys. If I forget to, and Dave, if I forget to put the comments up, I forgot I had that feature last time I was up here. I'll place your comments up as I go. And good evening, all. Welcome to another wonderful evening of soldering with Javi. And Dave has joined us here tonight. And Dave, why don't you, while we have you here at the top of the hour, and we'll do it again later, plug your your Corona challenge, your CNC challenge.
Well, I am so excited because I was out in the shop a little while ago and I had my phone in here on the charger and I came in to check my phone and lo and behold, I had a email from Mike Haichu and he had sent me to his link to his 2020 quarantine CNC challenge
Oh
and
yeah,
it is awesome. So what a great way to kick off the challenge than a,
yeah.
than a
Mike always
awesome
steps it
video
up.
like that.
He's one that always steps it up here. Yeah,
And I'm
that is
just
one.
wondering if it, when we did that other little silly challenge, the stepper motor knob thing, he did like 3 videos. I'm wondering if he's planning on doing more than one because there's really no limit. I mean, it's all for fun. So the more you do,
The more
more you
chances
have a
you have
chance
to
of
win.
being the people's choice because they will be voting for it. So,
Yeah.
what if I could? John C. is in the house.
Hello, John. How are you? Yeah. Ah, nice, peaceful day soldering. Ha 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 ha. See, always do that. Always got to remember to put the heat shrink. At least I didn't solder it.
Paul Stewart just joined as well, Javi.
Hello, Paul. How are you? And I'll mention this more than once, but for those of you, I have to send out an email blast. But for my customers who want to know the status of their order on the just go to javi.com/update and you'll be able to see the the status. And I update that daily as far as when I get something done, whether it's the motors or somebody's box shipped out or whatever. I have that updated. And boxes 7 through 12. Part of them went out today. Part of them went out go out tomorrow. The motors and the wires go out tomorrow. So those folks will be getting theirs very shortly. And I'm trying to get as many as I can done to catch up. Because I know during this time of isolation, people want they got to have something to do.
Dennis Mills is in the chat as well, Javi.
Paul, good to see you. Dennis, likewise. Let's see here. So, well, might as well give you a few soldering tips while I'm here. Not that it's much of a tip, but what I like to do for these is rather than have the wires going the same direction, I actually weave them in line that makes for a smaller footprint, so it makes for a thinner and a cleaner heat shrink. And since I don't know if you saw, Dave, I had my cousin on here last night.
Oh, you did? I
Yeah,
didn't.
yeah, my cousin Miguel would drop by. He was yeah, he was out there, and I brought him in. And it was fun catching up on some geek talk.
I'll have to go back and watch that. Were you here on YouTube, I guess?
Yep, yep. It was yeah, I did an impromptu. That one was impromptu. That one wasn't scheduled.
Ah, an
Last night,
impromptu. Segment.
impromptu, yeah. And for those of you watching, I try these days, since I've got a lot of work to do with the boxes, with the CNC controller boxes I'm building. I try to give you guys a live, if you're interested, chat amongst yourselves, um, just killing some time while I solder. If you have any questions about, the CNC controller, everything and anything having to do with CNC, or pretty much any other question you might have. How are things going on the property? Or feel free, ask, and be happy to answer.
Old Poot's out there in the chat.
Hey,
Says he's waiting on spaghetti to cook.
good old Jimbo.
And Jeff Robinson says, "Do you have an 18-volt Ryobi soldering station?"
Let's see. No, no, no. I'm
I
not.
didn't know they made such a thing.
Yeah, they. I've seen the cordless ones, but the amount that I'm soldering, I'd have to stock up on batteries, and I'd have to be swapping them all the time because it's just. I mean, this is. I mean, you guys are getting a little snippet of about 3 or 4 hours, but I'm doing this most of the day. I mean, I'm spending
Dennis,
a lot of time
Dennis
here.
Mill says, trying to find the RM2 ZZ bearings. Had them in the Amazon cart yesterday. Price went up by $20 overnight. I tell you, Dennis, I found here lately that if you're on Amazon and you find something, you better go ahead and get it. 'Cause,
Yeah,
I've had the same thing happen to me. Things I put in my wish list or whatever, and then I go back a few days later to buy them, and they've gone up. So,
yep. And same thing
or
actually.
they're out of stock, one or the other.
Now that you mention it, same thing goes for my controller because it's because of all the time involved and everything. I do not mind if sales slow down, and I am not. I'm willing to help the community, but not for $5 or $10 an hour. So the price is going to be slightly going up in April. So for the last couple days, you might want to jump on the. The people that are truly lucky are the ones that bought it in the introductory offer, because they had everything included. Now already the all the stuff is going to be separate, but it's going to be wired. So If you don't have a probe or you don't know how to wire your probe, if you have one, I'll be more than happy to let you know how to wire it. But a pre-wired probe, I'm going to have it on the site pretty soon. I'm also going to have a pre-wired e-stop for those of you that want an emergency stop, separate, and it'll come with 15 foot of cord. You can also get a pre-wired limit switches, and of course pre-wired router control box. So if you want to turn your router on and off, or rather have Mach 3 do it. I've already tried it on mine and everything works perfectly fine. I'm very, very happy with it. You could buy a second one and have a vacuum cleaner turn on and off, or you can connect it to some sort of switch of some sort. That was my cousin, so I figure let me go ahead and and oh Dennis, he didn't Dave, what Dave said about the bearings is that when you get on YouTube, you got to jump on it whenever you can, because these days prices change at the drop of a hat. Let's see. We have a green 15-foot motor wired there. Let me grab the next one. These, luckily, I've already wired some of these connectors ahead of time, so all I'm doing is just, for some of these, all I'm doing is just wiring the cables. My cousin will probably pop up any minute now. It's so funny because out here, on the one hand, I feel like I'm on the safest place in the planet because I'm not seeing anybody, I'm not touching anybody, I'm not. On the other hand, man, it's lonely. It's funny, Dave. Let me ask you something. The does it feel any different? I mean, I know, like when I'm on the property, you're basically, for the most part, if you don't have any visitors, you're pretty much self quarantined. And when I'm on the property, same thing. I'm self quarantined most of the time, and I like my isolation. But because of the situation, I don't know why it seems like I miss people more. Does that sound strange?
Well,
It's that old adage. You want what you can't have.
I don't see. For me, it's different because I'm uh, I'm a homebody, and I prefer to be left alone.
Well,
Actually,
as
so this
as
quarantine stuff is really easy for me.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, to a certain degree, it's easy for me too. However, I don't know. I don't know. It just seems it's strange. It's just very, very strange. It's like I don't know. I don't know. Just maybe it's just a feeling. Let me see. Paul, does it matter where you set dip switches on your stepper drivers for speed, assuming you don't set them above their? Oh, wait. I'm sorry. There was somebody else had a question earlier. David Stewart. Bought lead screws, couplers to motors a long time ago. The old plug and play. Anyone know if it's the same motor Javi Box uses? Yes. Lead screws. Oh, no. Sorry, David. The motor that I use is a 10 millimeter shaft motor. The only difference is that the couplers are different. Now, you could buy some from what's this place called? Dumpster CNC.
Dumpster CNC, Tim Feinstein, or
Yep.
Fiend, something
And but
like
but I gotta tell you, I like his stuff, but I am what I ended up doing for my big Gatton, for the Colossus, is I actually bought solid couplers. The ones that Dumpster has is they're nice, they're strong, but they're the kind that are springy or whatever. They have that. They prevent you from causing harm to the box or whatever. Look, these motors, the Gatton is strong enough that it can handle a hit. I mean, these are not NEMA 34s that are going to rip plywood in half. These are NEMA 23s. Even at 425 ounce inch, they'll stop at the ends. So there's no point in buying one of those. If it costs more, there's no point in buying one of those. I've seen all different types, aluminum and. But you know what type I'm talking about. They have sort of like a spiral curve. So when it stops.
that. Dumpsters doesn't have that springy thing. That was the company that.
Oh, that's right. That's the company that I yeah,
That we
unfortunately.
used, you know, while he was recovering from the tornado.
Right, that's right. Yeah, I had
And
the
also, you know, I mean, I don't care what people buy. It doesn't make any difference to me because I'm not selling them. But I would just add that the dumpster CNC ones work really great for horizontal CNCs.
yeah.
Not
Yeah,
so much
no,
for
that's
the vertical ones.
well, okay. Wait. In defense of that, when I messed mine up, it wasn't because it was vertical, because it was actually horizontal at the time. The X just stretched that thing out. It was because of the quality of that. Folks, for those of you that don't know, Dumpster had an issue that they got hit a few years back with a tornado, and it just so happens that when they were out of commission in that short month or two, that's when I purchased my couplings and everything. So I bought them from another.
I can't remember the name of that company, but no doubt anybody that bought them during that short period have probably replaced them with something.
Oh, it's a horrible. It's they're aluminum and they're flimsy, and as soon as you hit the end, they stretch. I mean, so I wasn't a fan of that. But the bottom line is, any couplings will work. I mean, obviously not the springy kind, but any couplings will work as long as they're half-inch for the screws for the lead screw to 10 millimeter for the shaft. And the shafts have, in fact, I'll show you right here. The shafts have, they pretty much all do. It's like a D. It has one flat little side for a set screw, so that's very convenient because some of these don't. And I'm a big fan of the set screw. Let's see. Somebody else had a question. Let me see here.
Paul Stewart had one, I think.
Yes, Paul Stewart. How does it matter if you set your dip switches on your let me see where you set your dip switches for speed, assuming you don't set them above their rated steps? or is it more controlled? Um, it does matter. It does matter. It doesn't matter much, but it does matter because if you set them if you set them incorrectly, uh, then you'll either not attain the speed or you'll lose steps. Um, but there's a lot of leeway in there. But the important thing is if you do set them differently. Most of the time, like for instance, with the way mine are set is for 6400, but yeah, sorry, I'm reading comments as I'm talking. My cousin. Most people set them. I set them at 6400, but in order for the calibration to be correct, you have to double that for the speed of the some are double, some are single. Most of the time with the DM 520 542s, it's double because they're really half steps. They're each step, yeah, they're half steps, if you will, because there's an A and a B coil. So when they say 6400 steps, it's 6400 A and B steps. So, well, the bottom line is 12,800 is your setting on your Mach 3 motor tuning, and 6400 should be what you set at your DM542 too. But again, that depends on that depends on a lot of things. It depends on what drivers you use. It depends. Look what I did again. See all that work, and bye bye. And this is the reason, one of the reasons, why sometimes these things take so long. I just spent 10 minutes cutting. Granted, it would be 8 minutes if I wasn't online, but, I like the company. 10 minutes soldering 4 wires. And unless I have the heat shrink in there, it's pointless. Well, it's not pointless. I could use electrical tape. Somebody will probably point out, but shoddy workmanship. I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm doing my best to economize on the price of the boxes and my work, but I won't let a substandard product go out the door. So you should all know that. Here we go again. Let's see. Yeah, I know. I noticed that in the news, Jeff, that they're cutting basketball hoops so the kids don't have an excuse to go out. Yeah. I don't know. I have mixed opinions, but we are in a crisis, so it is what it is. It's just a darn shame. Let's see. I'm in a container and I say that I'm lonely. Most people most people that are in containers are alone. Well, yeah, that is true. Yeah, I've got the whole world on cameras all around me.
Just looking at his picture there.
Oh, yeah.
Good looking fella there.
Yeah, yep. I come from let's see, that one I think that might be either him or his dad. But we got good stock in
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is the cousin that joined me yesterday. Hey, Dave. Dave Krause, welcome. And the cousin that joined me yesterday was Miguel. He's on my maternal grandfather's side, maternal grandmother's side of the family. And this one is Alex. He's the one I talk about. Well, he's been featured in my videos on the Make Room for Javi series. He's one of the two cousins that comes by on a regular basis. And one of the main reasons that I decided on this location. It's, I always love coming out here. I like the summers better because during the summers, they're the cousins are not that busy working, so spend a lot more time together. But his brother Israel's a a school teacher, and I don't know what's happening now. I haven't talked to him. I wonder what's happening with him now that because he teaches phys ed, and that's going to be a nightmare trying to teach that online. There we go. That's more like it. All right. David, yep, disabled enough that he's home 98% of the time as well. Yep, yep, I hear you. Chris asked, is there any major difference between VCarve Pro and desktop other than the workpiece size? What do you mean VCarve? You mean regular VCarve? Is there a
Yeah.
VCarve
He's
desktop?
talking about VCarve Pro and VCarve Desktop.
Oh,
The
gotcha.
desktop has that size limitation.
Yeah, yeah.
And there may be other things too. I'm not sure, but they have a comparison chart
On
on the
the
website. I would go check that out. Uh, in fact, I'll try to pull it up while I'm
yeah, there you go.
sitting here.
Speaking of which, let me. You're a moderator on my page, Dave, or not? Well, you will be
On
soon.
your YouTube,
Yeah.
I don't think I got a wrench.
Well, I'll get you one. Let me
I
see
haven't
here.
commented over there, so I don't know. Let me just say hello and see. Nope, I guess I don't have a wrench, so I guess
All
I'm
right.
not.
I'll remedy that situation real quick.
Yeah, on the Vectric website, if you go to their products thing, there's a thing where you can compare. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. Um, and it also, just looking at this chart, it looks like. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Never mind. Hold on. Okay, now I got it. It looks like VCarb Pro also does true shape nesting, and VCarb Desktop does not. And that looks like that's pretty much, let's see. Okay, another thing it does not do, it does not do toolpath templates and toolpath merging, which VCarb Pro does. And of course, the size 24 by 24 inches is the limit for desktop and VCarb Pro. So really not a whole lot of difference. You know, if you're not going to use the nesting and the toolpath merging and templates isn't a big deal for you.
Okay,
And
I'm clicking on your three dots and it doesn't give me that option. Huh? Is that how you do it, or?
I
Here we go. Manage moderators.
don't know. It's been so long since I've done it.
I know. This page isn't working. Oh, well, forget you.
Yeah, Dave Stewart made a good comment. He says the price is different, but later you can just pay the difference in the price to move up to Pro. You don't have to pay full price for Pro if you've been using the desktop. You just pay the difference.
Right.
So you could always start out with the desktop, especially if you 24 by 24, that's plenty big enough for a lot of folks.
Now what's this doing?
Did you get it, or are you still fiddling with it?
I'm still trying to. Okay, so if I go to.
More than likely, it's been so long since I've done it. They probably changed the way to do it since I've done it.
Yeah, it used to be. If I remember correctly, it used to be.
I was thinking you just clicked on those three dots and it opened up a drop down.
That's how it used to be. That's how it used to be. Let me go to my page. I've tried Chrome, and for some reason or another, now Chrome is being finicky. So I'm going on Safari and seeing if that works. Now what they're doing is you log into your page, and one of the options is manage your moderators. So let's see here. My channel. Okay. Okay, so I go to this one and mute it. And I go to this and try this again.
Jason Roush is in the house.
Hey, Jason. Let's see.
He said he saw soldering and just had to come visit.
Oh yeah, yep. You just missed. Okay, how many times has this happened to you, Jason? You see that? That is a nice little solder. I had 4 of them, but without the heat shrink. So I had to cut them out and do them all over. So how often does that happen to you? For some reason or other, it can't open the page. Oh well. It might have something to do with StreamYard is managing this. Who knows? So yeah, I'm doing a nice little Building hobby boxes. Building hobby boxes. Building CNC controllers for the masses. And I don't know if Jason's seen the. Well, this is what. Hang on, let me make some space here. Ah, there it is. Let me go grab the box here. This is what the controller looks like. Hang on. So, well, there it is. And it's got some aviation connectors. It's got some, stuff. Hey, Michael, how are you? Let's see this. Yeah, distractions suck. How's it going, Michael? Yep, that's you don't have to say that because I'm it's not quite a DB9, but I'm doing 5-pin DINs, and yeah, it's the same issue. Emeralds around it, solder. Yeah, that's by the way, folks, the my cousin Alex, just so you know a little background, he's a jeweler. So if there's anybody that knows about soldering, and we're talking soldering with a torch, with gold, with emeralds around it, and while the phone is ringing off the hook. Yeah. Yeah, see, I go to his shop, and let me share what he looks like every time I go in there. This is basically what he looks like every time I go to the shop. And for the life of me, I if you were to ask me what size his eyes are, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Because every time I see them, they're like that big. The beautiful thing, Alex, about soldering this way, see over there, when you solder, the nice thing is you get to sand it down and buff it and everything. Me, all I got to do is just slap a heat shrink on it, and he goes, wow, that looks beautiful. No matter how good, no matter how bad the solder looks, it's hidden away. All right, there's another one. Okay, I got red, I got green. Let's go for blue. Let's see what we got here. Yes, it's the same one. Same one. It's the final version. That's right. I forgot you saw that when I was there. It's fantastic. I built myself a little test box. So the 4 inputs, I connect these plugs in, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have the 4 inputs. The first one's usually emergency stop. The second one is for the homing and limit switches. Third one's for the probe, and the fourth one's whatever you want. Then you've got the 4 outputs, and when the first 2 come on, since this is motor forward, motor reverse, but it could be used for anything. I've got here a 12-volt meter, and that way I can calibrate. It's become a wonderful tool because there's a 24-volt supply in here that feeds the inputs and outputs and feeds the 0 to 10 volts for the spindle control, if you have a spindle. It's optional for the future. Well, or for the current, if you have a spindle. Well, when those 24-volt supplies, I should say, these 24-volt supplies come set for 5 volts. So I don't want to go and wire each one and start tweaking them all in a row. So I do it after they're in the case when I can just, do it already with it powered on. Sometimes I forget. And when I see and hear the voltage, when the spindle's on full voltage and it's only 3 volts, I go, I didn't tweak that. Or the lights don't turn on. So right away, instantly, I So it's been a great tool. So all the inputs and outputs and the spindle voltages are I test with this, and the motors I hook up the motors. So I make sure they're spinning in the right direction, and that's pretty much that, and I run a small program, and that's pretty much my quality control. Let's see, what was I? Red, green. Let's go for yellow. That's a long yellow. Let's go for blue. There. Here we go. All right. Let's see who else we have out there. Years ago, I built a tube amp, didn't test it because it was one of many. He got no power, turns on, didn't wire the power supply. Luckily, the guy knew what to do. Yeah. I remember the days of the tube amplifiers. Yeah, absolutely. I love the, I got to go over there. But, well, not for a while. We're under quarantine. It's a shame. Yeah. Yeah, Jeff. Great idea. I'll use a 50-pin SCSI connector from now on and then have everything in one plug. Uh, you know, Jason, now that I got you out there, I got a question for you. They don't make, like, lever lock uh, aviation connectors, do they? These. See, I love these little lever lock nuts are fantastic because there's a couple times that I have to. They're little tiny wires that like for the fans that I have to just join together, and I just put one of these on and just just insert one in there. This goes down. Insert one in there. This goes down. It's a wonderful little. Hey Philip, how are you? It's a wonderful little. They're expensive, but it's a wonderful little shortcut to soldering and sheet shrinking and this and that. Anything that'll save time is great as long as it's not ridiculously expensive. I would love something that'll save me time on those darn aviation connectors because that's pretty much what's taken the bulk of my time. That and screwing down little terminals, but there's no getting around that. How are you, Philip? Philip, let me see. What, out of curiosity, um, checking on my list here. Yep, I thought your yeah, number. Yes, that was the next one to go out. That's box number 8. Philip, yours went out. Um, your box went out today. You'll be getting the tracking number tomorrow. Your uh, motor cables, I'm making them now. Your motor cables and all that other stuff will go out tomorrow. The spindle boxes, I'm I'm putting that off until I get a few more boxes out because I want everybody to get their boxes, and the spindle boxes are not that urgent, and I have to basically design a box and I have all my equipment here. I have my engraver here and everything, but they're gonna take a little while longer. But your box is on the way, and you'll be getting your cables a lot and your motors along with them either the same day or the next day, depending on you know how the post office is running these days. Chiclet connectors. Yeah. You mean punch downs? Let me see that. Let me see. Oh, those. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I might start doing that for the rather than going through this trouble. At least for at least that's good. That's a good option for splicing cable. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, yeah, little white connectors. Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely gonna. I'll definitely give that a try for these. That'll save me a lot of time on the motor wires and such. In fact, if I buy enough of them, all I really have to do is solder in my spare time. Solder just a bunch of leads on on these things on the aviation connectors, and I just wish there was an easier way to solder on cup connectors, or, or another option. But well, see, Dave, I was about to do it again. I was about to solder without the came this close. Something told me something was missing. Yeah, I'll definitely start getting those chiclet connectors. In fact, I'm going to order some tonight. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, I'm definitely going to take you up on that suggestion. Yeah, that's exactly what I do. I strip, I tin. Yeah, in fact, uh, today I've been tinning. So I don't know if you see the. Let me make sure it's not on first. My solder pot. Now, mind you, uh, I have to share this with everybody. When you're tinning 50 wires at a time, or 25 wires, or however many wires, with flux, using a solder pot, where it's going to be producing a lot of fumes, make sure you don't do it as I did in the butt end of a container in a closed office that's 8 by 8. You should have seen this place. It was like filled with white smoke. Luckily, I had my respirator. Still, I would not recommend it. But yeah, I tinned all my wires, and I do the same thing. I tin a whole bunch of the connectors at the same time. Oh yeah, solder pot is a must. Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. It's not the corona that'll get us, it's the flux, it's the smoke. It's funny what you get used to because um, before the hobby boxes, I haven't soldered in. It's been a number of years since I've soldered. So, needless to say, my first aviation connector was I almost melted the whole thing through until till it all came back to me. And well, that and I was using a cheap Chinese soldering gun instead of a soldering pencil instead of a Weller. Way too hot, wouldn't heat up properly. Uh, but bottom line is, I was producing smoke, and I was like backing off, and every time the smoke was bothering me, and now I'm just like breathing it in, like it's like the old days. Like it's not bothering me any. I don't know if it's noxious or what, but if it is, there's an awful lot of old electronic ham radio guys that are and Heathkit builders that are in trouble. Just like riding a bike. Sure enough, there's always one. Can't believe I got three of them and I missed one. Come on, separate. There we go. That's the other thing you got to do is count the Ooh, you've been baking the surface mount parts. That's got to be fun. Maybe. Those are my helping hands when I need one. There we go. Let's see. Hang on a second. Baking surface mount parts on PC boards all day. Definitely sounds like fun. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. It won't be long before I won't be able to do that. Let's see. I'm good at making cold solder joints with my Harbor Freight solder gun. Yeah, yeah. Cold solder joints. Gotta love them. My stepson, when he was little, spilled his sippy cup on a roll of solder, and I had to seal it. And a 15-year-old electric skillet. Hey, whatever works for you, and if that works well, more power to you. Short of the occasional surface mount chip that I dab a little solder with a micro tip. I've never I stay away from them. It's just when I went to school for electronics, there were no surface mount chips. That's how long it's been. I'll tell you one thing I like though. I like these portable little 300-watt heat guns. They're a lot less bulkier than the big huge heat gun with the curve on it. A lot less dangerous. You usually don't get burned with them. Catching up on Facebook, Dave.
Well, yeah, I'm keep getting notifications because I shared the post of my Kaichis.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm
Plus,
looking.
keeping my mic muted because Jack's in here getting a little red.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, good old Jack. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that video. Next one. The Radio Shack days. I miss those days. I really do. Uh, but I do have to question. I look back on, like, I remember vivid memories of hey, Jimbo, how's it going? Good to see you there. Jim Dockrell from our old Canadian connection there. Well, and so is, come to think of it, John Cousins. Yeah, the old Radio Shack days. I think back to all the years I spent, hanging out at the shack and working at the shack. And I have a lot of fond memories. Remember the heat shrink. I have a lot of fond memories, and I was thinking about it the other day. I got a question for you guys. If you were to go back in time, knowing all you know now, and and drop into your 18-year-old body, and I'm not talking about girls and stuff like that. I'm talking about the fun stuff you used to do besides the relationships, all the whatever it may be, whether it's football or sports or hanging out, with guys or whatever, or with the guys, or in my case, nerding out at Radio Shack. Would you truly find them as enjoyable as you're remembering them? Because when everything's new, like when I'm sitting in front of a brand new TRS-80 that just came in, and I'm learning basic, and I knew basic, but I'm learning their version of basic, and I'm using the set and reset key with a Fornex loop for those of you geeks out there that know what I'm talking about, and I create with the 40 by 24, 24 by 80, 24 by 80 set would turn on a white character, a white block on the screen, and reset would turn it off. So you use the screen as a 24 line by 80 character resolution black and white canvas, if you will. And I created a Christmas tree with a Fornex loop, and then I made the base, and then I made it turn on and off random numbers. Now, that was a very strong and fond memory I have. But if I went back now, would I enjoy it as much? Would I enjoy seeing the catalog for the first time? Well, that would I probably enjoy. Yeah, Jason says, let me see. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Frankie. Radio Shack was good until they started to focus on phones and batteries. Yep, electronics, radio, guitars, programming, and trains. Yep. Yeah, that's true. If you still enjoy, well, I still enjoy doing this, but I don't know. I can't say it's the same. It's like you you know too much now. And I mean, that's the way I look at it, is I know way too much. And having that information, nothing is new. And what I got a thrill out of was seeing something, you know, or creating something new, like that Christmas tree. It's like, oh, Nobody'd ever done that, and at the time, and it was a and it was and I did this as a customer that just hung out there as a regular for the manager, and the manager was incredibly impressed, and he loved it, and the customers would come in and they'd love it, and it was a stupid little. Now I'd look back on it and I go, that's the lowest. It's like watching the old Star Trek. You know, I enjoyed it much more when I was younger and it was new than now, and looking at the cardboard pictures. I still enjoy it, don't get me wrong. It's just not the same. Yep. Yep, that's exactly right, Jim. It's back then, you know, I was one of those I was one of the geeks that would um that would know all the electronic parts, and so when somebody was asked me about something, you know, where are your 555 timers? Right over here. Where it's and then later, I mean, you go there and you go, where are your quarter-inch headphone plugs? And they'll go, what's that? And that's wow. It's funny because I mean, Dave knows this story. I went the other day. I'll share this with you guys. I went the other some time ago. I don't know. It must be almost a year ago. I went to grab a piece of MDF that I needed for I think it was for a spoil board or whatever. I went over to get MDF. Yeah, it was when I was building. It was a couple years ago, 2 3 years ago, when I was building my Gatton CNC, and I finished building it, and I wanted to put the spoil board on it. So I went over to Home Depot to get some MDF. And well, first I went to Lowe's, and they go, yeah, I'd like to. Where do you keep your MDF? And I go, what? Medium density fiberboard. Let me get a manager. You got a manager. The manager goes, oh yeah, I think I go, it's brown. It's like compacted. I mean, I was trying to describe what MDF was, and he goes, oh yeah. We have that over there, and he directed me to the paneling department. Well, close. It was hardboard, but it wasn't MDF. I gave up. I looked all around. They didn't have any, so I went over to the Home Depot. Same thing. The first guy goes, MDF. I don't know. I don't know. No. I was with my wife at the time, and she goes, "Why don't you ask somebody?" And then somebody comes up and goes, "Can I help you?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm looking for the 4x8 sheets of MDF." And as he is putting on a puzzled face and trying to discern what I'm talking about, and he goes to me, What's that? What's that like? I don't think we carry that." And then I look just past his legs, and that's where there were like 5 or 6 sheets left. I don't know why they had so few, but I go, that's MDF. And it says right there on the thing, MDF, medium density fiberboard. I don't care how many different ways I have to say it. They had no freaking clue. It was just so sad. Yep, low res graphics. Those were the days. Oh yeah, I gotta tell you, Jason, it was fantastic. That's one thing I do not regret being a teen during those years. I was I wish I had been born little earlier, because I mean, these guys a little earlier and in well, really, I don't wish I was born in California, but if I would have been born 5 years earlier in California, who knows? Because that was me. Those guys in garages making stuff, that was us, basically. You know, and those were the days. Those were fun, geeky days. I love that. I loved all of that, and I loved living through that time. I really did. Yep. Alex is hilarious. He goes, I absolutely loved living during those years. I if I had wait, I had a cousin who took me to Key Biscayne with his boat and scuba toys. Miami was the bomb back in the 80s. Yeah, that's my cousin Alex, and he seems to be talking about. I was those were fun times. The boat in the 80s and the Miami Vice years, whatever. The Model 1, the Coco, oh my God, the color computer, the Radio Shack color computer. I had up until recently, and I'm so sorry that I ever threw it away. Can you believe I threw away a Model 100? I threw away it's the I want to say 8 line by 24. I am trying to remember the white one with the big, huge, full size keyboard, and it had 4 lines of LCD or 8 lines of LCD screen. It was a great little word processor. It was, man, I'd love to have it now just for S&G. Realistic base stations. Yep. We would, back in those days when I was, let's see, about 19, yeah, early 80s, I have a buddy of mine, John Applebaum. He and I would, we had a whole network of, I guess you could call them underground friends that would take the CB bands were I think man, my ham friends would kill me right now. I think it's 10.5 meters, something like that, and we would take 10 meter amplifiers and tweak them and adjust them. They were it was let's just say the FCC did not allow anything over, was it 5 watts, 6 watts for CB radios back then? I don't remember. Well, even now, and we would push 25-watt linears and attach them to CB radios. We'd be broadcasting off huge antennas in our house, 5 or 6 houses range. All the TV sets would be listening to our conversation. Shortwave, we'd tune in and out. Now I can do it all legal like because of the ham radio license. Well, on the right frequencies, but back then, not even CBers got a license, even though legally back then you were supposed to. I think they did away with that some time ago in the 80s and 90s. They no longer made it a prerequisite to have a license for CB, the FCC. Evening, Tim. Good to see you. You can't find good help. Yeah, customers in Home Depot. I mean, Dave mentions it all the time. He goes to Home Depot, and whenever he does get help, it's uh, it's usually another customer that's giving him a hand because they're not gonna be over there.
It's always another customer.
It's always another
So
customer.
usually about it, it's always another customer that helps you.
Yeah,
You can't get any help at Home Depot.
yeah,
Not
that's true.
loading or unloading or anything.
Yep. Yeah, I'm behind on the comments. Oh, the portable. It was a great, great little computer. I had a, I had the, I forgot which one it was. I had the little tiny one, the pocket computer, the TRS-80 pocket computer. I don't know if it was one, two, three, or four, but I had a pocket computer. Oh, I love that little thing, and I bought the printer that went along with it, the dock, and all that. Yeah, it just we did so much stuff. We that those were. Let me tell you why. Another reason why those were great times. I had my pocket computer, and I would write scrib notes for tests. Filled the entire pocket computer with scrib notes. Calculators were allowed because back then there were no programmable Well, they didn't know. The teachers didn't know about programmable calculators, and oh, this is just my calculator. They didn't know any better. A computer that small, cheating on that? No, impossible. Well, it was creative. Yep, 11 meter. Yeah, that's what I thought. We had 10 meter linears, and we would tweak them, and no matter what, they just. There was this guy um, that would do that all day long. He'd sell you a 10 meter tweaked for CB, but it was never tweaked enough. 4 watt. I don't know why. I seem to remember 5 or 6 watt limit, but yep, yep, 26. Yeah, 26 megahertz range. 25 and a half to 26 and a half, something like that. Yeah, I was thinking about that, Frankie, because today I'm in here doing all this electronic stuff, and in a container. It's like, what is he doing? The last thing they're going to be imagining is a guy building CNC controller boxes. Yep. I had a couple of friends had their antennas glowing down the road at night. Yeah, we always had the what was it? We had the 40 channels back in the 23 channel days. Then they started doing the 40 channel radios. We would modify the 40 channels so we could get 40 above and below, and we could do half channels. Oh man, those were good times. Yeah, I would have some good skip conversations back then. So Dave, what's the weather like where you are? Yeah, we've had high 80s and low 90s today.
It is a little
We should,
cool today.
yeah, we should be getting a cold front coming our way, according to our weather guys.
I think we've got some rain headed this way too. I just was scrolling on Facebook and I saw the weather. The chief meteorologist, he does these Facebook lives usually
Yeah.
every night, and he was showing the weather map, and it looks like we're going to get some rain here.
Yeah, I'm. We're expecting. I don't know if they said it may not rain that much, but it's just going to be a cold front, and then we'll get back down to, well, what he called normal temperatures for this time of year in Central Florida, which is late 50s, early 60s, which is going to end, and late 70s, early 80s during the day, and I can live with that. Well, funny part is at the property here, I haven't noticed. That's the beautiful thing about all the trees that I have here. I don't notice hot weather anymore. It's a beautiful thing. First, given the fact that I'm used to a lot hotter weather coming from Miami, and second, the trees shade the weather to the point that shade the heat to the point that I'm the hottest it gets here outside is 75 degrees. And for a guy that's used to 96 in Miami, 75 is extremely comfortable. Yep, all the oddball channels. I used to love those CB breaks. We used to get together. There was a Bird Road and 87th Avenue. And for years, there was quite a number of us that got together. Just, back then it was Coca-Cola for me, not Diet Coke, and because it was 1980, 1981. I didn't get into the Diet Coke until 88. But I had my regular Coke, and they had their beers. I was never a beer guy, but everybody's there drinking their beers and just relaxing and just sitting around chatting. Good times, lots of good folks. It's funny because I think about all those times, and there was a group of guys that had a whole bunch of stuff in common. Well, a hobby in common, electronics and for many of them just plain CBers, but most of them were amateur electronics buffs, and we used to get together and just talk about it all the time. And that's exactly what modern day hangouts is. I mean, I'm on a hangout every night practically with a bunch of woodworking friends talking to about woodworking, and there are all different types of hangouts with different types of people. I haven't seen an electronics one yet, but keeping my ears open. And it's nice because you get a bunch of people talking about their hobby and on a regular basis and hanging out and become friends, and it's really cool. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, that's I'm about half an hour north of Alex, so it is 10 degrees cooler here at the property. Let's see. What color's next? Let's do another green one. And this one doesn't have a connector on it. Well, looks like we're going to put one on. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea, Jason. We got to start. We got to start our own electronic nuts channel. Just talk about different projects you did. Thing is, I'd be a little out of place because, I mean, I wouldn't. I'm like, I'd be a newbie in one of those things because all the degrees and all the past stuff that anybody might have there, when you haven't been into it for God knows how long, and although I enjoy it, this is nothing more than putting together the same thing over and over and over. I haven't designed anything in, I'll say, decades. And at the time, and right now, I know myself. I'd love to, but there's too many other priorities at the moment between the property and these boxes and whatever is going on today and with this corona stuff. I'd still be interested in a hangout though, in an electronics guys hangout. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think people ordering the box can see how much time goes into it and stuff. Now, they can cut the time. Well, on the one hand, and I've said this before, you can cut the time by not having fancy connectors and just wiring up directly, by not having a panel, not having a box, just screw it all onto a board and that. But you're not cutting that much time off, really. And personally, I think it looked like garbage when it's functional. If you don't mind functional, that's great. But I like something nice looking. I mean, really, in the shop, everything's a project. I mean, if you really look at the woodworkers, the hobbyist woodworkers today, I'm not talking the guys that do it for a business. The guys that do it for a business, it's all about practicality. They don't care what their shop looks like as long as they're producing and it makes money. It's that simple. But the hobbyist or the retiree woodworker, they care about what they're making. I'm willing to wager that 100 to 1 that 90% of what they're making, if not 100, is jigs or cabinets for their own shop, which is kind of funny because they're using their woodworking tools to make more accessories for their woodworking tools. I love that about I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to. Is populating my new place with a bunch of different cabinets and things, you know. But time consuming, it is. If you want it to look nice, and I definitely do want it to look nice. And then you've got the research time. That's another big part of it because there's a lot of people out there that go, oh yeah, no problem. I'll just do a quick YouTube search. You're going to be days on YouTube searching for how to hook these things up. And trust me, from a guy that has gone through and still going through every single error. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. I put a box together. 231 connections. That's including the motor connections and everything. But 231 connections for the kit. If you think that every single one of these boxes is perfectly connected, you are extremely mistaken. Nobody, well, some people are that meticulous. But if they are that meticulous and that OCD, which I am to a degree, it's going to cost them a lot more time. I put everything together, and the good thing about the boxes is I'm really good at troubleshooting. So, for instance, all the lights turned on when I turned on the box. I knew instantly that the plugs were reversed, the inputs and the output. So I swapped the connections. Sure enough. And then when I press the buttons, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. If they're in the wrong order, it's a simple miswiring. If 2 of them light at the same time, it's a short somewhere. If one of them doesn't light, it's an open. I mean, some of these things are just basic troubleshooting. Then you got other stuff, like if the voltage is low. Well, I know that's I said that earlier, that's the 24 volt power supply in here hasn't been reset from 5 volts to 24 volts. If the thing doesn't turn on, no power whatsoever, Well, I've been through that mistake as well. That's the power supply set to 220 instead of 110. I mean, or a defective power supply, which I have had one of those. And that's another thing that you're going to get when you're going to get parts that are defective. So if you're doing this yourself, be ready. You're going to go through a lot. Oh, hey Shayna, I didn't catch your hang on a second. Let me click on that one. 3 different mouses. There we go. How you doing? How are the kids? Or the Yeah, I remember. Oh man. Yeah, I met Jason and Shayna for the first time at. See, again, we're talking about the community, and it's 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 like friends and extended. Like Dave is a real close friend of mine, and I consider him a close friend. And it's not like the old-fashioned close friends that which I also have in my local community that we see every day and we grew up with and stuff. It's a whole different. Ever since hangouts and video conferencing and getting together with the woodworking community, it's funny because my definition of friendship has been redefined or expanded upon, I would have to say. Because for the longest time, I was into, I was in the chat rooms. Not into chat rooms, it's just in the early days of computing, BBS, bulletin board systems. And it was basically email before email. It was messaging. We would message somebody if they happened to be. I had a BBS. I had 8 phone lines at my house, and yes, I paid for the phone company to give me 8 phone lines so I can hook them up to 8 different modems and have a bulletin board system running so a bunch of people can talk to each other. I called it the World of Tron bulletin board system. And I liked the movie Tron at the time. Well, anyway, but I never considered relationships via text to be of any significant value. Because you could create whatever persona you wanted, and you know, and following that line of thought, I never considered texting a personal form of communication. It's practical, yes. It's very functional because, you can ignore people and they don't know you're being ignored, or you can, oh well, I was busy. And at this point nobody cares whether you ignore them or not because that's just the way it is. But I never considered it personal to the level of friendship. Then came hangouts and video conferencing. The only thing you don't know about each other is your height and your width. Because, frankly, when you see each other in person, you go, I didn't know you were that short. I didn't know you were that tall. But other than that, you're seeing the person, you're communicating with them, you're seeing your nuances and everything. So, going back to the story, I met Jason and his wife Shayna at the woodworking show in I think it was 2017, and in Atlanta, and I took to them right away. They're very, very, very friendly, very nice, as is most of the community. There's a few rotten apples, but actually, there's not that many. But anyway, and it's fantastic having this extended community, because I mentioned this story before. I had a buddy of mine, John, who passed away. He and I were kindred spirits, and he enjoyed woodworking. He would have loved this. He would have loved this property. He would have loved my CNC. He never got to see my CNC. Passed away way too early. And we were in the choir together. We were in church together. We liked electronics. We liked computers. There was just so many things we had in common. And, well, after his passing, a few years later, I got really heavy duty into woodworking. That's when I came across the YouTube and this whole community. And it was like discovering a whole bunch of Johns. Not quite to his level, but close. And it was a good feeling. Good feeling. Good having everybody around. Let's see here. I'm way behind on the comments. Have a good one, Philip. I know you're probably gone by now. Pat, good to see you. Oh, good. I'm not behind. Or am I? Did I miss? Yeah, that's it. Good. Dave, don't. I'll probably be on here till 10. But if you got to leave early, don't, just drop out. Don't feel you have to stay.
I'll
on
probably
my
be
time.
on here till about 9:37.
Because I don't want you to feel bad that because I know in the past some people have said, hey, I'm not mentioning names, but hey, Dave, would you mind coming on for a little bit? And then they end up suckering you for 6 hours.
Yeah.
But
No, I'm gonna turn in. I got a busy day tomorrow.
yeah. I'm tomorrow. What I'm going to be doing is I separated all the. I came here compact. See, Dave, I came here. I cut out a bunch of hobby boxes on. I mean, they're for future. I've got all the ones built that are in order, but I've got an extra 10 so I can get ahead while I'm stuck out here. So what I did was I cut them during the day. I figured let me take a little breather from the soldering, and I just cut out all the parts. Now I got a sand. I didn't bring. I could shoot myself. I didn't bring a router, and I don't have a flush trim bit. So what I'm going to end up doing, I did bring my spindle sander, so I'm going to just sand off all the tabs and assemble them all. So I'm going to have all the boxes assembled, and at least that's what I'll do in the morning. Kill some time. That and fight with the post office about getting my parts delivered, because for those of you that are wondering where your boxes are, I've just about run out of power supplies, and I've got everything else except power supplies. So I'm waiting on an order from the post office, and they keep giving me the runaround. So hopefully it's on. Some of them are on hold. Some of them will be here later. This Corona thing, it's understandable. The Corona thing has got everything all topsy-turvy, but yeah, I think I might call it an early night myself and start closing this down now. So let me start by bidding everybody good night. And I'm going to head on out. So, folks, thank you for dropping by. And 8 o'clock on Wednesday, I'll do some more, chat some, and if anybody'd like to be on, keep me company, and watch the chat room, by all means, let me know. As long as your background is nice and quiet, because I hate noise, I'd be happy to have you on here. And you guys have a wonderful evening. And it's real simple to have you on here. All you need is a a webcam and a mic, and a quiet environment. And I'll send you a link, and it's all web based, so you don't need anything special. Have a good evening. Stay safe. And I'll be back again Wednesday night for more soldering with Javi. Have a good evening. Don't forget to remember to leave a thumbs up on your way out. Good night, all.